Hi everyone, my name is Anna and today I'm going to be doing my July wrap up. In July I read 16 books, which is probably by far the most I've ever read in one month. July was a really good month for me reading wise. There was a lot of readathons and I finally got over a slump that I had gotten into in quarantine, and also I started rereading a series which I'll get into. So that meant that I literally just wanted to read that entire series. Let's get started. The first book I read in July was The Future of Humanity by Michio Kaku. This is a non-fiction book that kind of looks at the progression of science and specifically physics and history and uses that kind of development to predict how it will develop in a few centuries, a millennia, and it kind of paints a really beautiful picture of the future and what we will be achieving with science. I really enjoyed this. Michio Kaku is one of my favourite science outreach professors. He is so good at making the most complicated concepts accessible and also just really enjoyable. It really gave me such a hope for the future. It did also make me a little bit sad because, you know, all of this is in the span of a couple centuries to about 1,000 years by the end of it, and that really upset me because I just want to see these creations and experience them myself. I just think it is really interesting that he uses history to predict the future. The second book I read was Kim Jiyoung, born 1982. This book is about a Korean mother housewife who is subjected to gender expectations from the day she's born. It talks about her childhood and how her and her sister had to share a room while her little brother got the biggest room by himself. It talks about how her and her sister were forced to work so her brother could go to university. It talks about how she had to quit her job to be a mother while her husband kept his job, and it kind of explores how all these situations that women are expected to be put in affect you mentally. I really enjoyed this. This was a very controversial book in Korea. It really hit me hard. I cried a lot while reading this. The ending is so heartbreaking and powerful, and yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it, but this book made me so upset. Actually, my mum is reading it right now. As you can see, it's marked. I think this is a book everyone should read. It's 163 pages. I read it in one day and I couldn't think about anything else for the rest of the day, quite frankly. The next book I read is Bloodlines by Richelle Mead. I read this whole series and I will not be going into the next few books because they are actually what I read for Becca's Bookoplathon, and I did a separate wrap up for that. I will put in the information of the video and you can go check it out if you want to see my detailed thoughts on the next few books. I also read Blackbird, which I don't have in a physical copy. That was also for Becca's Bookoplathon. The next book for Becca's Bookoplathon was The Golden Lily by Richelle Mead, which is the second book in the Bloodlines series, as well as The Indigo Spell, which is the third book in the Bloodline series. I did read the whole series and I'm very proud that I read a whole series in 1 month. The next book I read for Becca's Bookoplathon was Paper Girls Volume 1, and the last book I read for Becca's Bookoplathon was Clap When You Land. The next book I read was The Fifth Season. I won't be going too much into my thoughts for this one either because I will be posting a book discussion hopefully next week. It's almost completely edited. I just kind of got a bit distracted. The fifth season is about a alternate Earth where there are apocalypse level events very often, and we follow our main character who is on a quest to find her husband who killed her son and has kidnapped her daughter. She goes through this journey to find him while there is an apocalypse event going on. I love this. This was amazing. I think this is probably one of my favourite fantasy books that I've read in a while. I've really been craving some good like high fantasy because I've been reading a lot of science fiction in the past like 2 years, and fantasy has really taken the back burner, which is why I've missed so many like fantasy releases or like new emerging books. So I definitely really love this and I think it's gonna be one of my favourites. I'm really excited. I have the Obelisk Gate right here It's ready for me to read. I think it's gonna be my next read. The next book I read was Heavy Vinyl, which follows a teenager called Chris. It's set in 1999 and she gets a job at the local record store. This record store is like, you know, the coolest thing that has happened to her, and she really wants to be a part of this, and she wants to use it to find her identity and who she really is. She has a crush on her colleague. It's just a cute little gay romance, and all the girls are just so cool. And I'm really invested in this universe because I want to be a lesbian teen in 1999 working at a record store fighting crime. They have a fight club like after hours where they like solve crime in the music industry. It's just so good. And I also read Heavy Vinyl Y2KO. I really like this one. You get to know the characters a lot more. There are developments in their lives, in their relationships. There's so much gay romance in this. I just love it. This one follows them building a band and going to a music competition to uncover a mystery about it. I then read Fiery Heart, which is the 4th book in the Bloodlines series. This book ends... Okay, actually, should I say what the Bloodline series is? I will. The Bloodline series follows Sydney Sage, who is an alchemist that has been assigned to take care of a Royal Moroi Jill. Alchemists are generally not fond of the supernatural at all. In fact, they think they're creatures of the dark and evil. But because Sydney had to spend a lot of time with Rose Hathaway, who is a Dhampir in the Vampire Academy series, she's really started to kind of come around and understand that they're not so evil and that they're actually just people. And this series kind of explores how her relationships with Moroi and Dhampirs change and how she works through beliefs that she was conditioned to believe from a very young age that are very strongly associated with her family. So going against these beliefs is going against her family. I really like this one. This is such a sad one because so the Indigo Spell, which is the 3rd one, ends on such a happy note. And then there's like, boom, happiness destroyed. And then this one is pretty similar. I actually completely forgot the ending of this. The next one is The Silver Shadows, and I read this for my readathon. So you can check out that vlog to see my real time. This has a few more tabs. This is just for my personal like reread pleasure. Or like, you know, I'll pick it off the shelf and see, oh, what quote did I tab? I actually don't know what quote I tabbed. Let's see. Oh, Sydney is talking about her roommate in re-education, and she just goes, I'm rooming with Sydney Sage of re-education. I thought that was really funny. Anyway, this one is like one big heist. They're basically trying to break Sydney out of this like really high security facility where she's being re-educated because she got too friendly with vampires and her sister ratted her out. I'm assuming everyone's read these, which is why I'm not really putting a spoiler alert, but I'm sorry if you haven't. I can't imagine anyone's reading these for the first time in this day and age. The next book I read was Vicious by V. Schwab. I loved this one. This was so good. This is my library copy, so there's no tabs. Actually, I'm really upset because the cover, I'm gonna have to put this down because it's too glossy. The cover I see on people's channels is so pretty, like the striped one with like a person in the middle. I think this is because it's such an old copy. Actually, the last time someone took this out of the library was in 2015. So the next book I read was Paper Girls Volume 2 and Paper Girls Volume 3. These are also my library copies, so I'm going to put them down because they are also very glossy. Right, Paper Girls Volumes 2 and 3 I thought were better than 1. So this story does have to do with them time traveling around different periods, which can feel really jumpy, like, you know, we're in like the 2000s and then suddenly we're in prehistoric times. The plot, I'm not super, I'm a bit confused. I'm also not really not interested. I'm not particularly intrigued. Like, I'm not trying to figure out what happened, mainly because I don't really know what's going on. But I really like the characters. I think we got to know them a lot more in these volumes. I'm definitely not particularly impressed. They were all 3 stars. It's a fun read. I'm gonna keep reading them. They're all in my library, so I'm not gonna buy them or anything. But I will keep reading them to see what happens, and maybe it will all make sense in the end. Or maybe I'm just stupid and I can't understand what's going on. And my final book for July, which I actually read yesterday, is The Ruby Circle by Richelle Mead. This is the last book in the series. It's also the big paperback copy, so Oops. I don't really like this one for a finale. It does have a happy ending, which I'm really happy about. I for some reason thought Eddie died, so I was very scared. I was like literally reading every page scared, but he doesn't die, which is good. The resolution of the conflict. So the whole plot of this is that Jill has been kidnapped. And so Sydney and Eddie infiltrate the warriors camp, who are like some vampire hating people, as recruits. So Sydney uses her invisibility spell and like scouts out, sees a laptop, and she's like, okay, I'll make a distraction. So she releases like mutant, evil, demonic fireflies, and she gets the laptop. She runs into a guy, she punches a guy. She's been given like superhuman strength by like her coven, so he flies through the door, and then they've got the laptop. And the laptop has everything except the location of where Jill is being held. But also conveniently, Adrian has managed to get the location out of Alicia, who's the woman that kidnapped her. It just all fell too perfectly. It was a kind of trope that's like, magic solves everything. Like, oh, we need a distraction, I'll put magic fireflies. Oh, we need to find this, I'll have superhuman strength and like invisibility. She also had to use invisibility in Silver Shadows and did a bunch of stuff, but there was a lot more conflict and like a lot more plans going awry. Like, I didn't even realize. So she says, okay, the plan is to do this and release these fireflies to distract them. And then she does it. I thought she meant like, oh, in a bit, you know? I just thought it felt so obvious that she was just trying to finish the book and the series, and it's so sad that such a well thought out series and world is wrapped up with everything just falls into place so quickly. Like, the laptop is really easy to hack. They have the location, they go in, okay, there's a demon there. I guess that's kind of a conflict, the demon that they have to fight to get to Jill. But I just don't know, it just felt so easy. Like, I didn't even realize they were resolving. I think it is so that she can like give them the happy ending, because there's a few like epilogue type scenes. But yeah, I just thought it was really easy, really convenient. At the end of the day, this has a happy ending. Everyone gets what they want. They managed to live happily ever after. This is my canon. What I really like is that the epilogue is kind of just all the original characters, like the ones from Vampire Academy, because I really love Vampire Academy, and when I finished that series I was so heartbroken because I was like, I just want to be in this universe for so long, like forever. And so to get Bloodlines and to see all the characters coming back, there's a lot of new characters and I really like a lot of them actually. It breaks my heart how whitewashed and heteronormative these series are. It's really heartbreaking because, you know, like the most diverse character is Rose, who's of Turkish descent. They're all just white, straight up, fair skinned white, except for Trey. Right, Bloodlines has a tiny, like literally like a smidge more representation. But Vampire Academy, man, they're both really bad. They're both so heteronormative, and it breaks my heart to think what impact it would have had in my life if there was a gay character in this series, because I literally like formed my life around this series. Like, I wanted to be Sydney Sage so bad when I read these, and it's just, yeah, I just really wish it had it. Please let me know what you think about that, if you have any series that you used to read as a child and that you think now are too like whitewashed or too heteronormative, and whether that keeps you from rereading it or not. I'm really trying so hard in the back of my head to think if there's a single gay character in Vampire Academy. There is one gay character in Bloodlines, and it is Rowena, I don't know how to say that name, who is Adrian's course mate and who we don't see after like book 5. Yeah, she's the only gay one. Yeah. So that's everything I read in July, 16 books. I'm not going to be doing an August TBR because I don't have a physical TBR. I just buy the next book I'm going to read, or like a few books I'm going to read. Like, I haven't read any of these. August is slightly busier. I am moving in August, but it's at the end of August, so it's actually, I'm moving in September, so September is probably going to be quite bad for reading. But I have a few goals for August. One of them is to read more middle grade. I have not touched middle grade. I've not read it as an adult. I really am interested in reading it. Reagan was talking about The Girl Who Drank the Moon and Arishar and The End of Time, and they both sounded so incredible, and my local library actually does have them both available, so I think I'm gonna be ordering those to read before I go back to my university. I used to be the kind of person that was like, oh, I don't want to read middle grade, I don't relate to them, the children, but I want to read it with a more open mind, because I think middle grade has the potential to have such good messages, and I think middle grade that is written nowadays is a lot more inclusive and representative of the world than it used to be when I was reading middle grade. So I think, you know, I'm kind of being affected by my memories of it from what I read, but the book scene has really changed in the last 10 years. So I think I want to give it a chance. So I'm going to be reading probably The Girl Who Drank the Moon and or Arishar and The End of Time. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing and following me on Twitter to be notified of any new thoughts I have, such as this little Twitter essay. I will see you in my next video. Bye.